Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Click the little bell icon for note. See, I haven't done this in a while, so you got to give me a chance to get into the flow of things. You got to click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live, apparently whenever the hell I feel like it. Now, on a serious note, since it's been a little while since I live streamed, what I had shared with you in my prior two live streams was the market was extremely boring. And it's hard as a content creator to come out here and try to find something to talk about. My channel, I can tell you this much, my channel is not large enough that it's a revenue source for me. I have a career, I do very well for myself, so I do this on the side for fun. I just enjoy doing it. So there was no use in me trying to spin my wheels, trying to figure out what content I could put out there. What I did leave you with in those prior two live streams was, hey, here's what to watch for, right? And you can follow me on X or you can follow me on Twitter because I will routinely engage with the community and share my thoughts on the market, which I've been doing. So if you've been following me on X and Twitter, someone had commented on a video a day or two ago. They were asking if I was dead. Clearly I'm not dead. I've been posting on X very, very frequently. So I would encourage you, if you're not on Twitter, to get on there. You got to be careful like any other social media outlet. There are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, a lot of people that have large accounts that don't know what they're talking about, but have a large following. So you got to be careful. But keep that in mind because I don't know if I'm going to live stream tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to live stream next week. But regardless, I will be keeping you current on the market on X and Twitter. And as things continue, we're going to get into things here, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the market. But as things progressively begin to pick up as I'm anticipating, obviously there's going to be days where I need to come out here and discuss what's going on in these charts. Things are starting to accelerate. We're finally getting to a point where you really can't debate. You'd be hard pressed to debate that we're going to roll over and create new lows in the market. There's enough in these charts that are indicating that we're going to get some sort of sustained move to the upside. So with that being said, let's kind of jump into things here. Now, this is just a 12-hour view. You know, if you've been here plenty of times before, you know I love focusing on the 12-hour chart on Bitcoin. In fact, we'll take a look at a Caspa chart as well on a 12-hour. We look at these 50 and 200 simple moving averages to tell us the overall health of this chart. You can see that we did get that death cross back in February. We've since crossed back up. We want to see this 200. You see how it's starting to slant up here? It's very important, not just the general ordering of the moving averages, but it's also important to keep in mind the general trajectory of the moving averages. It's good to see this 200 continuing to, it's flattened out and it's beginning to move to the upside. All that's telling you very simplistically, guys, when you're looking at a moving average, it's literally just plotting a line on a chart, expressing an average price over a stated period of time. That's all it's doing. So you want that moving average. You don't need to be a mathematician to understand this. You want the moving average to be increasing in value, right? So it's good to see the 50 come up here, and it's good to see the 200 beginning to move up. Now, what else do you guys notice about this chart? Is there anything that I have drawn here that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb? First off, this might stick out to you. Red is for resistance and green is for support. We're flagging, right? So one thing that you should pick up on this chart, we had a move up here, we flagged, we had a move up here, we flagged, we had a move up here, and so far we're flagging, right? That's literally all we're doing. It's just basic technical analysis. There isn't anything magical that I'm doing on my end. If we take a look at some of these price indicators, what can we see? Typically when we get above 70, that's when we start to see things pick up. You can see right now we're starting to dip our head below 70, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But to the degree on the 12-hour that we can stay above 70 on the relative strength index, that would work to our benefit. You can see the MACD here is still healthy. One of the general observations I had in the market based on some of the moves that were coming in, I had posted something out a few days ago stating that you got to be prepared for pullbacks. Now, in an environment like this, typically what you see when a lot of people weren't expecting a move to the upside, there was a lot of fear in the market, right? I was trying to tell you guys on X and Twitter, like, stay calm, nothing has changed. This is just taking time. That's all. This is just taking time. Quite often what you do see are some pullbacks, but the pullbacks are shallower than people are speaking to, right? So I have a main area here, getting at the weekly, just focusing on the weekly chart for a second. I have this range really between 98.4 and 104.4. If we get a candle body close above 104, when we get a candle body close above 104.4, we will have had the highest weekly close in Bitcoin's history, okay? But you might have a lot of people, I don't know where people are targeting buy orders at this point. I'm not keeping, I'm just not, as a long-term investor, I'm not really interested in that. I don't know if people are targeting down here. If they're targeting down here, more than likely we're not going below here. That's just, at this stage of the game, that's typically how things work. Momentum is beginning to pick up, and we're not just going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart. We're also going to take a look at a few altcoin charts to tell us, give us some degree of confidence regarding what we're seeing in the market. Now, one of the things that you can do to simplify your life, and this is something that I had shared with you the last time I was out here, if you really want to get a pulse on the market, and you want to understand the overall general health, you could literally just, yes, you could look at 5 other charts, but you could simplify your life and just focus on Bitcoin. Because as much as people want to say, this asset is decorrelating from Bitcoin or decoupling from Bitcoin, nothing is decoupling from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the mothership. Right? How many times have I said this? Bitcoin is the mothership. It is the driver of value. Nothing in this market is going to go substantially higher unless Bitcoin is doing very well, which gives confidence to the market. Because think about what we're saying in layman's terms here. If Bitcoin, which is a volatile asset, but is the least volatile asset, the least risky asset within crypto, if that's doing well, it gives confidence to the market. If confidence begins to come into the market, people want to go more risk on. Go down to Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Caspa, Hedera, whatever. That's typically how markets work. It's just, I don't know, it's rather intuitive. If you think it's a risk-on environment, you want to be in more risk-on assets. If it's a risk-off environment, you don't want to be in risky assets, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the weekly here and kind of focus on a few key things that I'm paying attention to. Now, typically, if we just go based on history, let's focus on the MACD for a moment. So what are we seeing in the MACD on the weekly? And again, I think one of the other things you could do to benefit your psychology is you can focus on the higher time frames. Focus on a weekly chart, 2-week chart, a month chart, which are things we're going to be looking at today. What I notice on this chart, this is just me being objective, okay? You see the cross here, the cross here. What did that result in? A move up, a move up. We got a cross here, and we got a resulting move up. We got a cross here. We're seeing a little bit of a move up, right? So very, very encouraging signs on the MACD, right? We want to see some follow through here. The other thing I'd like to see on the MACD as we continue moving higher over the course of the coming weeks, and I think June's really going to be an explosive month to the upside, just to be clear. But what I'm also going to be watching for is, are we going to create a new higher high on this MACD? This is one of these things, as you might recall, that I've been speaking to that does have me a little concerned, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. You can see the negative divergence on the RSI. Damn, I have this line drawn long. Let's, there we go. You can see the negative divergence on the on the RSI. Where did I have this? Okay. I don't know why. Okay. I don't know how that got messed up. There are some negative divergences on the RSI, and you can actually see historically, I have these drawn pretty, I have a bunch of trend lines on here, okay, longer term and shorter term. The ones I would focus on would be more recent, although all are valid. But in particular, I'm going to be curious. Let's change the color coding on some of these so you can actually follow what's going on. Let's just change this to purple. So I'm really going to be interested on the purple line and the red line. Now, we know, if you've been paying attention on this channel and you follow me on Twitter, you know that once that relative strength index on a Bitcoin weekly chart starts to get above 70, yes, in technical terms, we're overbought. Being overbought does not mean you're going to see a sell-off. Being oversold does not necessarily mean you're going to see massive buying come in. You can remain overbought and you can remain oversold for extended periods of time. And to that point, when we study the history of Bitcoin's chart, what it does tell us with a high degree of confidence is once the RSI begins to break above this dotted line of 70, that's when the strongest, most impulsive moves come into this market, right? Right now, we are sitting at 63, okay? We're at 63. So what I'm going to be watching for is, can we break above 70? That's really where we're going to see some strong moves come into the market. If I had to take a guess, at some point, we're going to break this line, and I think we'll break out of this descending resistance here. But the bigger question is, this is for me, this is 2021. Can we start to break above this purple line? And can we at least double top here? The way to think about this is, look, we can create new all-time highs on Bitcoin and still have negative divergences play out within the RSI. That can happen, but your top within the market is going to be a lot lower if we can't start to negate the negative divergences. Because think about what that's saying. A negative divergence on the RSI is telling you, even if price is going higher, there's weaker strength behind it. The relative strength within the price is declining. If we can get some sustained strength in the RSI to go along with the price moving up, you're going to see Bitcoin going even potentially higher than I think it'll go. Right now, I'm kind of targeting 120 to 180 as a range. So this is something also to keep an eye on. And then the other trusty indicator I always look at with charts is the stochastic RSI. So great to see the positive cross. We're above 80. We want to stay above 80 here. And you can see when we have the really strong moves in Bitcoin, you typically see these stochastic RSIs above 80 and right up in the 80 to 100 zone. So we're at 80 right now, or actually at 89. So we're in a real healthy spot. And we're going to have to see how the month closes out, which we're going to get into a monthly chart. But really just want to stay within this range, right? It wouldn't bother me if we came down here and even closed at 98.4. If we started to get candle body closes that started to go below 98.4, I'd be a little concerned we were going to roll over lower. So something to keep an eye on. If we take a quick look at the 2-week, I haven't looked at this one yet. MACD looks like it wants to cross up. We have these negative divergences on the RSI that we'd like to see break. Healthy price action coming in the stochastic RSI. So the stochastic RSI on the 2-week has triggered because it's above 20. Both the orange and blue are above 20. Blue is on top of orange. Now, historically, we have a really high hit rate on this indicator alone. Just looking at this indicator, there's a high hit rate that says, based on what we are seeing right now, we're going to see a big move up, right? It's not guaranteed, right? And this is where people sometimes, I don't understand sometimes why this portion of what I'm communicating is lost on some people. I'm not communicating to you any certainties. I'm communicating to you probabilities. I forget, we looked at this one time. This might have an 8/9 hit that sticks out to me. There might have been 9 occurrences of these. 8 times it was a successful moonshot up, right? So right now this is telling us that with a very high likelihood, we're going to see continued movements to the upside on the 2-week. Now let's get into the monthly, and then I'm going to pause to see who I have in the comments here. I see a few comments come in. Not too many, don't be shy. I haven't been on here in a while. Let me know if you're on the live stream. Let me know if you missed the sound of my voice, or if my voice is extremely annoying and you don't know why you're tuning in right now. You're not going to bother me either way. It's okay. I just appreciate that you're here. So here you can see one of the things that I kind of sketched out here was a trend line to indicate that once it was broken, that's when a bear market ensued. You can see here and here it has not broken. The other thing that, just looking at this monthly chart, the beautiful thing about consolidating price action and looking at a monthly view, it really cleans up the chart, right? When you look at a 12-hour chart, there's so much noise in here. There's a lot of noise in here. When you go to a monthly, it really helps to level set your view on the market. And right now, again, I don't know how the hell you could be bearish. We are literally pressing up here. And to me, this just looks like it's coiling up. It almost looks like an ascending triangle to some degree. You could almost draw some, let me show you what I'm envisioning here. You could almost draw some sort of an ascending triangle here, right? Almost like a flagging pattern where we've come up here and now we're just coiling up here. So, I mean, this looks massively bullish. Now, let's get to the technicals. I mean, MACD looks fantastic. Stochastic RSI is about to get a positive cross up. Actually, it has crossed positive. It's 30 over 28. And if we look at the RSI, now, this is something that I've shared with you guys, and I think it's one of the topping signal indicators, I'm pretty sure. It's either the monthly or 2-month, or maybe, I think it's the monthly. I have to go back and check. I haven't looked at the topping indicators in a little while. But regardless, we have this huge negative divergence. It's going to be interesting to see if we get up to this point or break it. But we also have, check out this little bit of negative divergence here, right? So what I'd like to see what I'd like to see on a monthly chart on the RSI, I'd like to see us break 70, which right now we're at 68.5. All right, so we're very close to 70. I want to break 70, but then I want to come up and break this line. This is what I want to do. I want to break this line, break out of this negative divergence here, and then I want to start to press up into this region. Now, if we end up coming up to the dark blue region, which could be a potential topping zone in the RSI, if the negative divergence here holds anywhere in this zone, realistically, if we were to top up there, it's going to take some time, And this is just another item that I look at that sort of gives credence to the notion that this really could extend into 2026. But let's take it one month at a time. So let me pause for a second. Let me see who I have in the live stream. Juan, good to see you in here as always. You're always the first one in here. Todd, man, love you, brother. Super chats are never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Good to see you, Juan. You like my annoying voice? That's good to hear. Rashid, man, when the hell are you coming back down to South Florida? Good to see you. Audio. I'm doing well, man. No complaints, really. I mean, life is good. Thing is, I'll say this very commonly to people. You can always choose to complain about something. Everybody has shit in their lives. Like, there's something to complain about. But it's perspective. It's recognizing that you have too much to be thankful for in life. So life is good. Yeah, so the monthly, those are my comments on the monthly. I wanted to kind of get into some altcoins here. Now, I know more than likely I have at least a couple people showing up from the, let me put on some light here. It looks a little dark. It's getting a little dark out. I know I have some people from the Caspa community more than likely. So I want to take a look at Caspa. Wanted to talk about Ethereum and wanted to bring things back to my post here. I said, how does CAS look? Are we preparing to outperform Solana? some changes on key BTC charts, and why I've expressed so much confidence in Ethereum outperforming XRP, which I know is not a popular opinion among a certain crowd. So this, for me personally, as I always say, let me take off the Raging Bull. That is a proprietary indicator from Tony. As I say, every chart creates an illustration. It creates a picture, right? This to me is a beautiful picture because at the moment, let me clearly depict to you what is going on and where we're at. This was a markup, right? The rest of the market was in a bear market. The project makes sense that there was a huge markup given the success of when Caspa originally originated, began being mined. We saw a big markup in price, right? Well, we got overextended. Price was consolidating. There was some distribution taking place, people taking profits. We ranged essentially between 10 cents and 20 cents for the better part of November to the current time, right? So we came down here, we broke 10 cents, right? Came all the way down here to 5.8 cents. So this is what's called a range deviation. Why is it called a range deviation? Because we marked up to this range. This is our range, right? We held this range for over a year. And then we had this is what I would call a fake out. Well, it has the potential to be a fake out. Let's talk about that. This at the moment is what I believe to be a range deviation. How can we confirm that this was a range deviation? Well, we have to reclaim, which we've done. And the way that we can confirm a reclaim is the preceding print. So, meaning, in this case, I'm looking at a 2-week chart. I want to see confirmation on a 2-week and weekly, okay? We can go to the weekly. We can go to the weekly and say we have successfully reclaimed 10 cents. But this candle here on the weekly, it needs to hold above 10 cents. That's how you confirm 10 cents holding as support. But not only do I want to see that on the weekly, I want to see it on the 2-week. Hell, you could say the same thing for a monthly chart. But for me to feel confident that we've reclaimed this range, I need to see this thing close above 10 cents within 2 weeks from now. That's what we have to watch for. What's up with the 14.8 cents? Well, the 14.8 cents is telling us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only been 7 candlesticks that have closed above 14.8. You can think of 14.8 as essentially our midpoint within the reclaimed range, right? And my view is once we get confirmation of support, it's not the first time that you see price get above 14.8, things are just going to go ballistic. I don't believe that to be the case. Just like I told you, if you've been following me on Twitter, 10 cents would be a key area of resistance. We battled 10 cents for a while there. It was not surprising. It's a psychological level, and there's a lot of price confluence. So no surprise to me. It should be no surprise to you. 14.8 cents to me, once we come up, okay, we get a candle body close up here, we hold it as support, I think new all-time highs are going to happen pretty quickly. So we want to watch for 14.8 cents. Now the other thing, if we get to a more granular view here, the other thing I had actually shared yesterday when I saw Caspa was up around 7.5%, whatever it was, I said at some point I'm expecting that we're going to get a pullback, and I want to see 10 cents hold as support. Look what happened here. We came up, we broke 10 cents, but look what happened with our confirming candlestick. On the second one, we broke below. We didn't, and then we held it as resistance. Came down here. Now we've come up. We've struggled with 12 to 13 cents. I don't care if we come all the way down here. I don't want to begin to break 10 cents, though. I do not want to see Caspa go below 10 cents. So I want to hold 10 cents as support, and then I want to continue moving up. But when you look at the 12-hour chart, you tell me what it's doing. And the moving averages, by the way, I had scribbled these on here, sharing with you on Twitter what I wanted to see show up in the charts, and it's exactly what's playing out. The moving averages are trending in the right direction, just like we saw on the 12-hour for Bitcoin, right? Just like we saw on the 12-hour there, we're seeing something similar on Caspa as well. The 200 is just beginning to flatten out, which is great, But what are we doing? What would you observe when you're looking at this chart? Well, since our bottoming formation here, what have we done? We've Super Mario'd up, right? We've gotten the higher highs and we've gotten the higher lows. So things are looking good, guys. Things are looking good. One of the things that you have to pay, one of the things you need to keep in mind if you're in this market, first off, investing in crypto, there is no sure thing. Nothing is easy in this space. Been here for a long time. I know nothing is easy in this space, okay? But one of the things you have to recognize is this is a very risky place to invest. And the price that you pay for the risk that you're taking is volatility. Volatility works both to the upside and the downside, right? On the one hand, my portfolio is down substantially from where it was at prior to the end of last year or at the beginning of this year. On the other hand, my portfolio has been moving up by fleets of cars the past few weeks, okay? I'm like a car manufacturer, all right? So, not fully recovered yet, but we're getting there. But regardless, the point of what I'm trying to say is you really have to be able to stomach volatility if you're a long-term investor in this space. Obviously, this channel, if you've been here long enough, you know this channel is not geared towards day trading. I'm not a day trader. Most day traders do not succeed, okay? I had a delusional friend who thought he was going to be some successful day trader. Most likely that didn't work out for him. The best thing that you can do to increase your likelihood of being successful in this market is adopting a long-term outlook thesis and investment, what do I want to say? The way that you invest is more long-term, right? So Caspa's chart, as I said, is beginning to turn around here. Things are looking really solid. Now let's talk about Caspa Solana, okay? Ooh, XRP's up by 6.66%. That's not good. Mark of the beast. Well, here's the thing. Obviously, again, we had this mass markup, right, and appreciation in price. Right here, we're in September of 2023. Since September 2023, we've been in a downtrend. You can't argue that with me. You can drop comments telling me how superior the technology is for Casper rather than Solana. I'm not here to debate that, okay? What I am here to tell you is factually what's in the chart. And factually what's in the chart is we have been underperforming Solana since September of 2023. Now, my next question is, do we have any reason for hope? Any reason to say we might see a turnaround in the price performance relative to Solana? And I'm here to tell you yes. So we have a little bit of a falling wedge here. A little bit of a falling wedge. It's a little wider up here, a little bit more narrow down here. But the bulls, us Caspa bulls, what we want to see, and I can mark this as support, if you pull up a Caspa BTC chart, I would go higher time frame, put it on a 2-week. Hell, you can put it on a month. We could consolidate it even further and put it on a month, something like that. In fact, that even more so signifies a falling wedge. The whole point is, whether you're looking at a month or you're looking at a 2-weekly or something like that, the first thing you want to watch for is a break of this trend line, and you want to start coming up to these areas. If we were to come up to this area up here, which would represent roughly a, let's just say 100% outperformance relative to Solana. So if Solana moves up 20%, this is moving up 120%. This would give me confidence that at the very least we're going to double top up here, okay? Or we're going to create new all-time highs. But we really need to double in price relative to Solana to really start seeing something. So to answer the question, going back to my post, are we preparing to outperform Solana? Jury's out. Right now, it's inarguable that we've been in a downtrend since September of 23. So we need to turn that around in the chart. Let's take a look at Ethereum, and then let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance, okay? Because there's something very just basic and high level I want to point out about Bitcoin dominance that way too many people, it feels like, are missing. Again, and I think some of this, look, I think some of this is, there are a lot, I always tell you guys, this shouldn't be the only channel you come to. There are other good channels out there. However, with that being said, there's a lot of content creators, people in the space creating content that love to monetize off of it, and that's all they're there for, right? So they're going to put the thumbnails together, they're going to create the content just to get you to click on their video, even if their video is garbage, right? Sometimes things are as basic as they look. So we'll get into that in a moment. It's I don't know, it's getting missed in the market. So one of the things I was pointing out here, and this is a 2-week chart on Ethereum. The last time, both times, when we got into this relative strength zone here, which it looks like it's below 38 on the 2-week chart, every time it signified a bottoming process on Ethereum. So you can see we dipped below 38. It looks like we may have bottomed. Ethereum still has a lot of work to do. We're not even above the 50. Is that the 50 simple? Yeah. We're not even above the 50 simple moving average on the 2-week chart. So we still have a lot of room to run up. When can we start to get excited about Ethereum? Well, we've banged our head on 4,000 many times. So the moment you see Ethereum start to approach 4,000, when you see it approach 4,000, chances, I don't expect this to be much resistance. Why would that be the case, though? Why would that be the case? You're telling me that we came up here multiple times and it's proven to be strong resistance. So why in the world are you telling me when you come up here, you suspect it's not going to be strong resistance? Because, as I have said many times on this channel, when you hit an area of price confluence, whether it's to the upside as resistance or the downside as support, the more times that you strike it, yes, it either indicates support or resistance, but it doesn't strengthen that area. It weakens it, right? So this is like a jackhammer that's made this wall so frail. I believe the next time we come up here, we're going to pierce it pretty quickly. So that's really the key price level, just to simplify things you want to look for. Why do we want Ethereum to do well? Guys, history tells us we need the most dominant altcoin in this space to perform well. Why? Because it gives confidence to the market. If Ethereum is doing well, it's a signal to the rest of the market, risk on, risk on, risk on, altcoins, altcoins, attention away from Bitcoin, let's get into altcoins. That's when money begins to rotate and get into riskier plays. How do we know? Let me ask you this question. How do we know we have not truly seen the biggest risk-on environment in crypto known as an alt season? An alt season is when in masses your altcoins substantially outperform Bitcoin. Bitcoin loses its luster, greed starts to come into the market, risk on, risk on. Why do I feel really confident in making the assertion that no matter how many runs we have seen, we've seen AI runs, we've seen meme coin runs, we've seen gaming token runs, GameFi, okay? Why do I feel confident in stating none of those were alt seasons? None. There has not been an alt season. This chart, this is such a basic chart. If you're asking the question when alt season, every time there has been a massive, I'm not talking about a little, I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about what most likely will come. And again, when I come out here and I speak to my view on what I believe is going to take place in the market, I'm not giving you a subjective opinion. I'm formulating my thoughts on objective data. This chart tells us that every single time we have experienced a massive alt season, what takes place is a plummeting in Bitcoin dominance. And each time Bitcoin dominance goes up, guys, I've been here long enough, okay? Every time Bitcoin dominance does this, the same bullshit narratives come out that altcoins are dead. This time's different. Everything's getting wiped out. There's too many altcoins. This BS narrative, meme coins have killed the alt season. And it's just all, people come up with these ridiculous narratives to draw you in to get ratings. That's literally all they're doing. Of course, there are tons of tokens that are not going to make it. There are tons of tokens that are going to go to zero. There are tons of meme coins and layer ones and blah, blah, blah. There's so many. But there are many that are going to run very, very hard. And which ones will run really, really hard? The ones with the good charts. Okay? If you have a good chart, you're increasing the probability significantly. Your token is going to outperform the rest of the market. So we're just waiting for a drop here. That's all we're waiting. And then the question is, will this ascending line hold up? Really? So alt season seems to be on the horizon. One other thing, because I don't know, when I'm going to live stream, whether it's this week, next week, what's going on. One other thing I wanted to leave you with, given where we're at in the market right now, and what we're seeing is, when we, at least I'll speak for myself, when I formulate my thoughts in terms of my market outlook, it's based on emerging data, right? I use historical data and emerging data. And I pointed this out on X. Where was I incorrect? I was completely incorrect about how the first quarter of this year went. But the question is, does that invalidate my macro thesis? No. There's nothing in the chart that has broken down, and I kept you guys updated. My prior two live streams, I spoke to the invalidation points, and I pointed them out on Twitter. None of those invalidation points hit. So no matter how bleak things look, alts are correcting 60%, 70%, 80%. I still mainly focused on Bitcoin and said, what's going on in this Bitcoin chart? What should I be paying attention to? Because there's been a ton of paralysis by analysis on Twitter. I've been saying that over and over again. People sharing this chart, and this chart contradicts this chart, and look at this chart. And look, I'm all for education, but at some point, you got to draw a line in the sand. You got to simplify your life and say there's 3 to 5 charts I'm going to look at. 3 to 5 charts, and that's it. 3 to 5 charts that over the course of time have historically been spot on. That's what I did for myself, and that's why I had so much confidence that we were not entering a massive bear market. It wasn't my feeling. It wasn't a subject because I'm the crypto bull. I had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with objective data. So based on the fact that the first quarter didn't pan out so well, what are my thoughts for the remainder of the year? Well, I think over the course of the next handful of months here, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, I think we're going to see a very large run up. And I think it would be in your best interest, in my opinion, to take some chips off the table. Take some profits. Because we're going to be at one of 2 points by the end of this coming up here. We're either going to see a cyclical top sooner than people think in the next couple months, or we're going to get a decent correction, and then we're going to run up in 2026, whether it's the first quarter, second quarter, it bleeds into whatever. That's my current outlook on the market, but I do think more than likely it would be very advantageous to at least take some profits coming up here in the handful of couple months, because I do believe the way charts are turning around here, you're going to see some significant moves up in the market, and it would be wise of you to profit from that a bit. And here's the thing. Let's say you're holding something and it triples in value. You got $10,000 invested, it goes up to $30,000, right? Or actually, that would be $40,000 if it doubled, tripled. No, wow. Long day. Been in the numbers. I am a numbers guy, by the way. I am an actuary, and I literally couldn't do a tripling on the spot. That's a little rough. Long day. Now, let's say you have an investment that at the peak of this euphoria, it does a 3x, goes from $10,000 to $30,000. Why can't you take 30% off? Why can't you at least take your initial investment off of 10,000? Worst case scenario, no one ever gets hurt taking a profit. Worst case scenario, when you take that $10,000 profit, you determine that after assessing the charts for 4 months, we're not entering a bear market. We've just corrected 70%, and you have the opportunity to maybe double what you originally had if you want to go back in, or maybe you keep 5,000 profit for yourself, do whatever you want with, keep 5,000 there for the market in case you want to get back in. Maybe you can get your original position size back. The whole point is you want to make sure you're not getting greedy. And I think there's going to be a time shortly in the next couple months where it would be advantageous to take some profits. I'm not telling you to take all your chips off the table. There are obviously, and I don't have it pinned anymore on my X. Maybe I'll repin it. As you know, I had, it was a long time ago. I'm not going to pull it up. But I had created some sell indicators, right? There were a handful of indicators I was looking at to tell me when the market was most likely topping. I'm going to be using that game plan. So that's going to also give me some degree of confidence. I have 5 indicators, really 6, but 5 indicators. If 2 or 3 are flashing, you better believe I'm going to be taking profits, and I'll keep you updated on that. But that's certainly something objectively I'm gonna be taking a look at. So I'm gonna let you go at this point. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Oh, I see a question come in. Hold on a second here. Do you believe there may be a benefit to rotate some crypto into crypto ETFs based on altcoin underlying assets? You take care as well. Thank you. I'm a purist. I'm not going to tell you not that an ETF can't be advantageous. I'm a purist in the sense that I love to buy and hold my own crypto. I mean, it's potentially, guys, being able to self-custody your crypto, being responsible, and being your own bank is, I believe, the most empowering thing about being in this space. Think about it. When you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, whatever, they're out there somewhere, but you have ownership, right? Here, if I own 10 million XRP, right, or 10 million Caspa, or 1 million Bitcoin, I can self-custody that on my Tangem or Ledger Wallet or whatever the case is, or my SafePal. Shout out to all 3 of those wallets. I would say my personal favorite is Tangem. Tangem is an easy interface, guys. It's the most user-friendly that I've come across. I like SafePal and I like Ledger, but I shout out to Tangem. Tangem has done a fantastic job with their products. The whole point is now I'm self-custodying that. No one can get to it without the private keys, right? And I just find something so empowering about that. So for me, I'm a purist at heart, my friend. All right, guys, until next time, let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Follow me on X. I will keep you updated on the market. And who the hell knows when I'll live stream next? You got to click the bell icon for all notifications to know when you'll see my smiling face. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.